Hello and welcome back to the Stage Door. This summer we're highlighting a lot of the summer goings on right here in Western Newfoundland. The Stage Door is presented by Canberra Arts right here on Rogers TV, filmed in Corner Brook, Newfoundland, Labrador. We are so excited to be able to highlight so much of our goings on this summer. We have our own season at Canberra Arts, which has productions Monday through Saturday every week from July 7th to the middle of August. So 12 chances to see our three productions this summer. Bardley Leg, which is a fantastic musical folk story. Following that, we have a wonderful celebration of Newfoundland Labrador music, Echoes from the Outports, and we have our interactive train show, Beneath the Baggage. Newfound Family Drama here in Corner Brook has a show celebrating the music of country legend Reba McEntire. That's going to air on repeat every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday through the summer in July and August. And of course, our friends at Stephenville Theatre Festival have a whole season happening through July and August as well. And we are this time going to be talking to our friends at Gros Theatre Festival with Theatre Newfoundland Labrador. They have a whole season all the way from, it started now, June, all the way through to September with different shows happening. So we have a little sneak peek trailer that they've sent us that we're going to watch, and then I'll be talking to Nick Leno, their artistic producer, in just a moment after we see that trailer. So let's see what they have on the go. So now we're going to check in with Nick. Nick is on site in Cowhead, beautiful Cowhead. It's currently June when we're filming this. It's going to air throughout the season, so there's lots on the go at the Gros Theatre Festival from Theatre Newfoundland Labrador. So hi, Nick, and welcome to the Stage Door.
Hi, Ian. Thanks so much for having me. Excited to be here virtually.
Well, we're very glad to be able to celebrate the many goings on in Western Newfoundland. It is just fantastic that there's so much happening, and you know, we've spoken with the other groups. There's really something for everyone, not only at these different festivals, but at each one of them. Really, I think there's going to be something that people can gain. So we're excited to talk about that. But before we do, we'd like to check in with you and ask, this is your second year with Theatre Newfoundland Labrador as artistic producer. And one of the questions we always ask here at the Stage Door is, where did it all begin for you? Where did the journey of being in the arts start?
I guess like a lot of us, my journey in the arts started when I was a kid. I grew up in a really small rural community in southwestern Ontario near Lake Huron called Hanover. And I grew up doing community theater with my father, actually. My father was quite talented in all the community theater musicals, and probably could have made a career in the arts himself, but had me when he was 18, and then continued to pursue that passion as a volunteer, and got me involved when I was very, very young. So I did all the community plays, and I was the Nutcracker in the Nutcracker when I was 16, and my dad was the uncle character that brings all the toys to life. So I have some really fond kind of childhood memories doing that. And then I decided that I wanted to pursue that art form professionally. Lied to my parents, told them I was going to university to be a high school teacher, when in fact I went to theater school. Um, after that, I did a 4-year undergrad degree in theater, and then did a master's of fine arts in theater directing at the University of Ottawa, right following my undergraduate degree. Spent better part of 7 years in Ottawa running an outdoor touring Shakespeare company called the Company of Fools, and then in 2024 decided to come out here and run the Gros Theater Festival, and am very grateful that the folks here took a chance on me, and I've had a great time. So there you go, Ian.
Excellent.
My
Well,
life until now.
we're certainly thankful to have you stepping into to that position. And I guess growing up in rural Ontario near the water preps you fairly well for going to beautiful Shallow Bay and Cowhead. So what has that journey been like to get to spend so much time in Cowhead?
Yeah, I mean it's been a really special time. I mean, I grew up in a small town, not a little bit larger than Cowhead. We had a traffic light and a McDonald's, but and then I went and I spent the better part of 15 years living in the city. And for a huge part of my life, in my early career, I really thought that if you wanted to make a go as a professional artist, you had to be in one of the big cities. And so coming back to a small community like this, where the theater really is the kind of a main center point for the community, it's been a fabulous experience. And you know, I I have to give a lot of credit to our general manager, Denise Dolliver. She's lived here in Cowhead since I believe 2007. She's worked for the company for this will be her 25th season, and she's done a fantastic job of integrating me into this community. Helping me meet all the wonderful people that live here, and make the community what it is. So long answer short, Ian, I'm really grateful to be here. It's a beautiful place filled with beautiful, happy people.
You've came to Cowhead in a transitional time for the festival. The Myra Bennett Center for the Performing Arts is still fresh, still new, still being developed, and still being discovered.
Yeah.
So what a privilege it must be to be able to explore that venue and how it can be a part of the community. And I know Canberra Arts has a high value on education in the arts, and I've seen Theatre Newfoundland Labrador has certainly prioritized that with this new facility, working with the school in Cowhead and getting students in. So what has it been like? I know Denise has done a lot of that work while you're on the ground part of the year. What's it been like to have that educational aspect and get some local youth in to theater in Cowhead? Like, what a special thing.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic experience. So, yeah, as you mentioned, the theater here has a very close partnership with Long Range Academy, the local school here in Cowhead that goes from kindergarten to grade 12, and has I think 114 students. And every year for the last 2 years, TNL has helped the school produce um, their student production that they then take to the drama festival. It's what I love so much about it is that you get to see students discover themselves in really unique ways. When students come to theater and they come to drama class, they often come with this um, assumption that if they're not on stage, there's no real place for them. And as you know, and I know, there's so much that goes on around making a play. There's everything that goes into the scenic construction and
Mm-hmm.
costume construction and design and lighting and sound and the management of human beings. That's what a stage
Yeah.
manager does. And the art of telling a story through pictures and words, which is what directors do. And so part of what I really love about it is you see the students come in at the beginning of the year with these kind of conceptions around whether or not they belong. and as they work through and they learn and they observe and they work with professionals like myself and Denise, they learn that they can find a place for themselves.
You've had community theater brought into Cowhead as well this Christmas.
Yeah, we sure did. Yeah, I had I think ever since the building kind of came to be, Denise, our general manager, and myself as well, wanted to see the opportunity for some community theater to happen, because as we kind of discussed already, it's a great way in to the arts for people, and for youth as well as adults, and even if you're not going to go on and pursue this as a career, there's still a lot of value you get from participating in this. So I had the idea of taking Charles Dickens's A Christmas Carol and adapting it to be a radio play, and staging a live radio play, um, just around the holidays. And it was amazing what happened. Like, we put up a couple posters at the store and the post office, and within less than a week, we had 28 volunteers from here in the community who were signed up to be actors in this radio play. And the radio play format gave us a certain level of freedom. We didn't necessarily have to worry about staging. We didn't even have to worry about memorizing lines, but we could still act and tell a story and have fun. And so that's what we did. We basically put the whole thing together in 2 weeks. We rehearsed every night, and folks came out and had a really great time doing it. We also got the high school involved. We worked with the high school drama class to create live Foley effects for the show, and so while our community members were up acting, we had a table of sound making devices behind them that was mic'd from different locations, and the students helped our scenic carpenter make all the different noise contraptions, and then they operated it during the performance. And VOBB were very gracious and came and basically recorded the event, and then they rebroadcast the recording on Christmas Eve.
Tell us a little bit about the season, and then we'll talk a little bit about some of the shows that
Yeah.
our audiences locally might be excited to take that trip up to Cowhead and see.
Definitely, definitely. I mean, overall, what I'll say about the season is it's ambitious. I wanted to, with everything that was going on in the world, I wanted to program an all Canadian season, and an all Newfoundland season, really. And so, what I'm going to show you as I talk about the season is really, there's a couple things going on. One is that we're commissioning a lot of new work right now. And I think, like you mentioned, we've been given this beautiful gift with this magnificent facility here. And so now, what TNL needs to do is commission, develop, and support the creation of new, bold works to fill this great, big, beautiful space that we're in.
Mm-hmm.
And while also still honoring some of the classical pieces that the festival has done, that kind of get reinvented every year. The other thing that's really special is that this is the 30th anniversary season of the Gros Theater Festival. And so, in honor of this kind of 30-year milestone, I wanted to usher in some new work and some new change. So perhaps the biggest change is that, for over 20 years, TNL have been producing the SSFE as our kind of staple dinner theater piece. And I wanted to see what would happen if TNL took a risk on a new play for our dinner theater programming. And so Willow Keane wrote a hilarious, beautiful, poignant piece called Supper Club, that she premiered in St. John's and then toured to the arts and culture centers across the island. And the play was not at all written to be a dinner theater, but it is about food. And so it felt like an absolutely fantastic piece for us to turn into a dinner theater. The premise of the play is five very different Newfoundland women spanning a wide range of ages and experiences have a supper club, and they take turns hosting each other for supper every 2 months, and comedic chaos quickly ensues. And what Willow's done is really kind of capture the conversations that women, particularly those who are in their late 30s and 40s, have with each other, and shows us how that idea of maintaining a female space, a kind of a sense of female solidarity in as in is in of itself a radical and poignant act, especially with everything that's going on in the world. And so, what we've done at the Gros Theater Festival is we have not revived the original production. We've created an entirely new production with new actors and new designs, and we've added a three-course meal into it as well. And so the whole kind of evening spans about 2 hours, and there's basically three breaks that happen in the middle of the show where you get an appetizer, an entree, and then a dessert.
There's some new shows with Newfoundland music and folklore focus with Freeman and
Yeah,
Becky, so which is
yeah.
by
So I
Stephanie
actually
Payne. So
just
I'd love to ask about that one.
yes. So I actually just started rehearsal for it 3 hours ago, which is very exciting. So it's first day. But yeah, so Cowhead's own Stephanie Payne, TNL commissioned Stephanie to write a play about Freeman and Becky Bennett of St. Paul's, just our neighboring community here in Cowhead. Freeman and Becky were born in the early 1900s, and became knowledge keepers of traditional Newfoundland folk music and also folklore stories. And ethnomusicologists and folklore researchers from around the world would come to interview Freeman and Becky in their home in St. Paul's, and record this music and record these stories. And so, what Stephanie has written is a play that takes place in the late 60s in St. Paul's. Freeman and Becky are getting ready to go down to a garden party, and lo and behold, a researcher shows up at their door and asks to come into their house and interview them. And what follows is an evening of those two characters sharing traditional music and folklore stories with the interviewer. And that's kind of what's going on the surface. But underneath, we get this sense of a changing world and a
Mm.
changing cultural tradition. It's the late 60s, the road has come through, electricity has come through, and the radio exists now. And we get this sense from Freeman and Becky, the more as time we spend with them, that this um, cultural tradition that they carry is changing and to a certain degree dying. And as that kind of cultural tradition is shifting and changing, and the world around them is shifting and changing, they're also getting older. And so, kind of lurking underneath this very polite and warm and comfortable experience is this kind of creeping sense of how do evolutions in communication and technology change the way we communicate with each other, the stories that we tell, and the way that we tell stories. And so it's a really simple but powerful and beautiful piece. And all throughout the play, it's only a two-hander with only two actors, but all throughout the play there are these characters that we hear off stage that come into Freeman and Becky's kitchen and kind of interrupt the interview or comment on the songs or the music that are being sung. And what we're doing is we're actually inviting family members from Freeman and Becky Bennett to come into the theater and record those voices that are used in the sound design for the show. And so um, it kind of feels like we're making this show with the family as well, which is um, just a really special experience.
No,
Yeah,
I think it certainly sounds like a great story to tell, and we'll keep on talking about these amazing shows because you have a really full season. You know, you're bringing our
yeah,
Eliza back toward the end of the season. You're bringing
yeah,
back your Shed Party, the
yeah,
wonderful Newfoundland jukebox musical, and you have part one of a trilogy by Megan
yeah.
Gale Coles, who is another fantastic playwright from the Northern Peninsula. So, what's it been like getting to work with Meg to develop and redevelop this work to happen here
Yeah.
in Cowhead?
Yeah. We're just super blessed to be able to work with a writer like Megan, who is so accomplished and just focused and amazing at her craft. Um, Not long after I took on this position, I had the privilege of meeting Megan, and she told me about a trilogy of plays that she wanted to create that would basically cover 300 years of history on the Great Northern Peninsula. Each play in the trilogy is called the Driftwood trilogy, and each play in the trilogy works as its own standalone piece. But what we learn and observe as the trilogy goes on is that what we're doing is we're following the lineage of one family on the Great Northern
Mm,
Peninsula from the early 1800s, and kind of contact with European settlers on the peninsula, all the way up until 2020.
wow.
And so what we're doing is we are producing Falling Trees this year. Megan wrote Falling Trees and premiered it in 2015. We're doing the kind of second ever production of it, and it's the kind of first installment in the trilogy. But what we'll be doing next year is we'll be premiering the second piece in the trilogy, which takes place 100 years before Falling Trees. So I kind of joke and say we're
Mm,
doing a little bit of a
neat.
Star Wars thing, starting in the middle and going back. And then in 2027, we will premiere a piece that takes place on the Great Northern Peninsula in the in a contemporary kind of 2020 era. And then in 2028, we're going to put them all together into a 3-act epic play.
And you mentioned that the Effie is not in the rounds for this season, but there's a news story for a bit of a different audience that's focused on a particular fan favorite element of that story by Adam Brake, Hero Dog. So, what's that all about?
Yeah, so I wanted to keep the spirit of the Effie alive here at the Gros Theater Festival because it's just had such an impact on the festival throughout its whole life. And so in honor of this 30th anniversary season, I thought, well, let's take this old story and look at it in a new way. And as you kind of alluded to, everyone's kind of favorite part about the Effie, or one of their favorite parts, is a dog. There's a lot of kind of lore around that shipwreck story, but really rumors existed that a dog somehow was involved in saving the day, whether the dog kind of alerted people to the ship, or I mean, there's rumors that a dog jumped in the water and pulled a rope to shore. So I commissioned a new play by Cornerbrook playwright and theater artist Adam Brake called Hero Dog. And it is the story of the dog in the SS Effie. And we are doing it as breakfast theater. So we wanted to make a kids production, particularly a show that would invite some of the families and campers in the region into the theater. So every Saturday, starting July 16th, Saturday morning at 10 a.m., audiences can come in. We have a breakfast buffet. They can load up their plate with pancakes and all kinds of good stuff. And then they get to watch a 45-minute play about the dog from the Effie. Adam has written us a beautiful story about a dog and its owner Sally, and their kind of journey as friends, and is doing it in a breakfast theater kind of format, which is really exciting and a new way of exploring food and incorporating that into live
Absolutely,
theater.
you know, and of
Yeah.
course, for those who watch the stage door, we've had Adam on the show a couple of times, and brunch theater has been one of the Open Doors major things here in Corner Brook, and the brunchology of shows has been released as a script.
Yeah.
So it's certainly you certainly got the expert on breakfast theater writing to work that show. So it sounds like you have a really fantastic season coming up, Nick, at Gros Theater Festival. And we at Canberra Arts and the Stage Door really want to wish you well. Coming up on screen, folks, is all of this exceptional theater happening right here in Western Newfoundland. You have the Gros Theater Festival from Theatre Newfoundland Labrador. You have Stephenville Theatre Festival. You have Canberra Arts here in Corner Brook and Newfound Family Drama Company. Tickets are available online on their website, calling the box office, or if you're in those areas, drop into the box office. Get a ticket, try to book it in advance. You don't want to be disappointed. There's a wealth of things to do. And I know all of these groups look forward to seeing you at their stage doors after their shows throughout this wonderful summer season. Us at Canberra Arts want to give a big thank you to Harbour Financial, our gold corporate sponsor. It makes a difference when you have those corporate sponsors that are able to help you out, make things happen here in Western Newfoundland. The arts need your help, and if that's by buying a ticket, if that's by lending support, if that's by taking part and having that discovery, that is all a way to do it. So be sure to check out one of these things happening this summer. The information's on the screen, and we'll hope to see you soon right here at the Stage Door.